Welcome to today's live reading. This is my first time doing a live reading and just see how this goes. I'm doing it by myself, so we're going to see kind of, how things end up kind of shaking out. So probably end up with a system I prefer a little bit more later in. Just kind of chatting a little bit, letting people kind of check in here for a few minutes or moments. I'll get the energy a little calmer. Invite this space to be filled with good vibes for the energy. Yep. Laying here with us. I might have to run interference with him with the candle flame here and there. So it opened with resonance of G, 384, and now C, and 256. So with the title, as you have made decisions on your path in your journey of continually reaching for a better experience, a higher vibrational experience and environment and life and people and all of these things, you've also been, having those roots dig deeper, just like a tree will grow. As it grows higher, its roots dig deeper and branch out. Part of ascending is knowing your unconscious more, is being more familiar with what your innermost thoughts and feelings and emotions are. Okay, so let's see here. What would Divine like us to know in particular? Okay. So the first thing that is being highlighted by the Divine is that when you pray with all of you, when your soul, your unconscious, your conscious self, when you have healed yourself and all of you is focused in one direction, creating one thing, your purpose, your dream, what resonates deep within you as truth, has always been a part of you throughout time, meaning all of you. It is a prayer that can make the tide turn, that can take any and all enemies of light. And that's not saying like there are demons that are your allies. They all bend a knee to the divine. They are all created by the Creator. They all know come the end of the day who has the final say. But some of these beings are not necessarily playing for that team right now. And when this happens within you, all of that turns that tide. All of your allies hear you clearly across all realms and every single timeline, every parallel universe, every possible decision, they all hear you. So what are we so focused on? There's a sense of knowing the truth, knowing that you are connected to something bigger than yourself, knowing that you are an angel of the light, you are a warrior of the light, yet you're surrounded by darkness. And this feeling of needing some kind of validation, some kind of synchronicity to let you know that you're not forgotten. You could be this very thing for another person as well. You can be that messenger that feeds the light with them and enough to keep their light lit, keep it fed and growing stronger, or maintaining its space. Very heavy feeling of like you're up against overwhelming odds, but the truth is that you're never alone. You're never ever alone. You have an angel, a guardian angel that is capable of working through you. And if that guardian angel, if you prefer to think of it as your oversoul, as your future self, the being, the part of you that is connected to all of you. So all the knowledge of every possible timeline you could have lived in this life can come through that connection. Can you imagine how many different lives you could have lived if you had made one decision differently here and one decision differently there? All of those versions of you are tuning in right now to you and working as one. So the enemy, if you will, because I don't really know what else to call this, wants you to believe that you're powerless. And as long as you believe that you're powerless, well, you are. But you're here, so you don't believe that you are powerless. Because you don't want to be. Thus, you're not. Wise words that I've heard many times in my life that have gotten me through. And because, legitimately, they're very logic-based. If you're concerned that X, Y, or Z is going to happen, the very fact that you're concerned about it means you're not going to let it. Because you already know. You already have that forewarning. You're thinking ahead. You're seeing the higher picture. Yep. And this came out in a stack of 3. Now, I would show you these to you guys, but I respect the divine directive at this time to me. Your guidance is not to share them directly with you guys. But if you're familiar with magic cards, I'm sure some of you kind of guessed at a couple of them already. Now we have 6, 7, and 5, 6, and 7. So we're at 9. 9. Okay. So there is one more contributing note to this, and that is you guys owning your power. This is an answer to a prayer, because the note of possibly not having hope yourself anymore, because you have been calling, you have been hurting, you have been in this state for such a long period of time, or you know someone and it's happened over and over and over and over, and your heart is just weary, it's tired. And because that was picked up on, that is why this is coming in for you, because you are life. What you create, you give life. And you affect everyone around you when you participate or you choose not to. Some of you, you have forewarning of this. You have foreknowledge of this. But until you reach this point, you don't necessarily really know what it means specific to your particular piece of the puzzle. And we're all vital. And the strongest thing that's coming through is they can't touch you. If you believe they can't touch you, they can't touch you. And even if they were to believe that they could, the divine wouldn't actually let them do harm. But you're weary and you're tired. So that confidence right now, this is an answer to that prayer, because without you, none of it has life. If you don't give life to it, none of it exists. The feeling that you have a lot of people, energies that are behind you that you're not aware of, that you don't see. Because you are a spiritual being having a physical experience. feeling of almost, I kind of giggle there because it's got dual meanings. So I'll share them with you guys. So the card that came out there that made me giggle a little bit, and the laughter, it's a way of calling your light back, of bringing levity to the energy, not having it be so heavy and oppressive. The laughter takes away from the fear, the anxiety. All of these are tools. Knowing these things about yourself is a means of wielding your own thought and emotion consciously, allowing it to be under your control and not manipulated or controlled by another. And you have an individual around you who you care deeply for, and there's possibly multiple people around that you both care for, you have in common, that you feel somewhatly responsible for. And the connection between you is one that is chosen. It is not one that is placed upon. It's not, it's come through in a couple of readings recently where it's the concept of having the commitment between two people as though they are married without having the legalities. It doesn't change that commitment is between the two people, because you do have people that are technically legally married that are constantly betraying the marriage vows, that are stepping out on one another, that are not faithful. So the piece of paper and the legality, it may be more of a physical chain of consequence for breaking that commitment to one another, but it's not what makes the commitment work. So these connections are chosen ones. They're not binding and oppressive. They're chosen connections. And this is how it really ties into your physical experience around you. There is so much more going on beyond this that we see in our physical reality. There's so much far going on behind the scenes. If you were to think of it with the concept of you're living in a simulation, well, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to keep the simulation running smoothly for you to experience it. So it's these beings, these energies, these codes, however you prefer to really relate to that behind the scenes, that is watching how you handle this moment and taking direction from you. What are you choosing to create? Because you do have an individual and a group of individuals that are choosing of their own free will to remain loyal in this situation. But there is illusion, there is projection, there is an other team, if you will, like red versus blue, that wants you to fall for the illusion that everything isn't as you are creating it to be. They want you to fall for the illusion that they're actually using you to create something that you clearly don't want to experience. And as long as you believe they can do that, it's a possibility. Now, belief is not the same as thinking it. That's a totally different thing. You can think something, but that doesn't mean you're creating it. It's when you go, yeah, you know what? I own that. I own that with my emotion, my thought, my memory. When I choose to move in energy towards my future, that's when it becomes belief. Just having the thought or an emotional reaction to it is not enough to create it. So don't fall for that. That is bullshit. That's bullshit. Don't fall for that. That's one of the tricks that they like to use, is to get you thinking, you mean because you put that thought in my head, you projected that into my emotional experience, I then created that? And then they're like, oh, sweet, we got to do that for free. Ha ha. No. Don't fall for that. And if you have fallen for that, here's your sign. You know it's bull. Call them on it and see what happens. Okay, so we have soul mating, number 34. This one is telling me a lot more about, I mean, yes, it's definitely going to be possible if this is speaking about like a soulmate, a soul contract, like a master soul kind of a deal, but it's also about owning your own light and shadow within yourself. As someone who, personally, I have my own perspective on this, and that's because that's my view, the perspective that I'm moving through my life with, and I can't really speak to the other side as though it is my own experience, because it's not. But what I can say is someone who has consistently chosen to walk the path less traveled, because I knew that that was where my happiness lay. Even if it didn't look like that to other people, even if, my society raised me to believe that I was to, do things in a cookie cutter kind of fashion to have the optimal experience in this earth realm, it didn't feel right. It felt inauthentic. It felt false. So I didn't go that path. It, it was me following light. So you know that every time you've made a decision where you chose to do the right thing, even though it wasn't the easy thing to do, however that may apply to you, especially in this moment, in this time, you may be at a crossroads when you're watching this. As you make those decisions, you're feeding that part of yourself. You're giving your light more strength and more strength and more strength. You're giving more fuel to that fire, that bonfire of light. And as you do that, you know that that shadow part of you, the part that understands the feelings, the emotions, the empathy, that even though you are someone who is witnessing something happen that you know isn't right, you're still experiencing some of their emotional experience. The individuals who are doing those things that you know are not right, you're still feeling their anger. You're still feeling their alienation, their hurt, their rage, their confusion. You're still experiencing that. So that wisdom, as deeply as it goes, there's a respect for it. Not fear, it's respect. Like, I get the feeling that you guys are very strong in light, incredibly strong in light. And that means that you know that your shadow is incredibly powerful too. But you constantly choose to move in this way. There's an invitation to sit with whatever this card of like it's like the secret language of light. It's the title of this one, and this is the secret language of darkness, like the shadow side of the soul. This is not evil. This is like the subconscious, that we know, but we don't necessarily say out loud. The memories, the concept, things like this. There's something here that is very powerful for you guys. Okay. Number 3, the sway of influence. Create with your authentic self. And there is this brilliant heart present here. When you own that it's time for you to actually defend yourself. No one can defend you like you. It is your energy. You are sovereign. And there is such powerful love for all of you within you. And just like this, you have the crown, but yes, you go all the way up to the chakras, right up to the universal chakra. You have your soul heart chakra here. You have the ancestors, you have your guardians, your guides, and it goes all the way up to universe. This is what the enemy, if you will, the other team, has not wanted you to do. Because know that the moment you do this, it's game over for them. They lost. The fact that this reading is even coming out is already affirmation of that. Because you continually choose to love yourself, even the parts of you you don't understand or see, which has been hidden for this moment. where you're choosing to respect this part of you instead of fear it, to embrace it with love, and defend your energy, defend your sovereignty, your right to be alive and to live your life. And I just get such a feeling of all these fractals. You may not be aware even how many energies have been pulling off of you, leeching off of you, tapping into you and taking from you. And in this moment, your light is coming on and it's burning so brightly because you respect that shadow, that darkness within you. To instead of be used as maybe they would desire to do great harm, instead it does great good. Like it's profound. It's somewhatly beyond words. So let's see what the divine would like to have us focus on here in the oracles here. So I feel so many energies coming in, and there's not enough time. Like I feel like I want to do like personals for everybody who encounters this reading because there's just so much information here. Also a sense of somewhatly being an island onto yourself. Like you look around you and it's like you're the only person in the sea of zombies who is not a zombie. Everybody's just an autopilot doing as they're told. I don't know if you could see my cat, but Lenny is laying on his head, just completely cute as a bug's ear, completely at ease, showing me that belly. He feels completely safe in this space. So this is a synchronicity, like you can be at ease here with this energy and know that this has already happened. It's already occurred. Oh, I don't know if you guys saw this, but I want to make sure this tumbled out. It did like backflips, like, and landed upright. So we have the gambler, loss, risks. There's a taking of the chances, and what you see here is like the aces. Hearing the song from Sia. It could be LSD, the band, but they're talking about how no new friends, something about having all your aces out. And in the video, there's actually like a representation of 3 different layers of existence, right? Like you have the little person, and then you have the medium-sized person, then you have the like God-sized like person. So the 3 layers of self, and the wise one, tradition and order. So you have nothing to lose by taking this chance and everything to gain. Everything to gain. Also a flipping, casting off this puppeteer, not letting your heart be played. Ooh, that one hopped. Yeah. So this is the other side. This is what you're overcoming. Yeah. It's the deception that you're not actually powerful, that you're not actually the one in control. You are the weaver. You make the tapestry. You decide if you're going to let their color be part of your creation. If you're going to let it continue to be part of the masterpiece of your life. And in this moment, you guys are owning this part of yourself. You're like, you know what? I'm not going to just lay here and do nothing. I'm not going to just sit here and do nothing and let you just do whatever you want with my life force, which you haven't earned. You haven't done the work. Number synchronicity. 555. Coming into the reading, it was 444. So we have trinities of numbers. You are in union within self, meaning you speak your life into existence. You write it into existence. You act it into existence. And if you were going to bet on anybody, why wouldn't you bet on yourself? And that may be the very thing that these energies did not want you to do. They would take your abundance, they would take your confidence, take your beauty, take everything from you, and then put you down while they go out and they do harm to others with your energy, with your creative life force. No. It's not lost on me that the top card here is the Ace of Swords. The Archangel Michael's sword of truth. It can cut and it can liberate. So it's time here, which you guys are owning, to liberate. You're liberating yourself by going, I'm not going to just sit here and let you control my life. And if it's a thing where they had a final test and they failed it, they had a final opportunity to grow and evolve and move beyond it, and they chose not to, well, then they get the sword. And that's what you're creating, because you have done the work. You are the only one who can wield your life force with the full knowledge of how to wield it responsibly. Someone who did not go through the things you went through can't. They don't have a respect for the things that you've been through. They will not bring that wisdom to how they create with it. So they don't get to have that say. They don't get to have their color be the primary base in what you create. It is yours. It is yours. It's very powerfully channeled there. It's very, and even if it's not just channeled, like as a person, as a reader, this is your life. You have a right to defend your life. And however they may be, invading in your space, maybe they're manipulating and using people around you. Maybe they're invading your dream space. Maybe they're projecting their thoughts and their emotions into your thoughts and emotions while you're moving out throughout your day. However they're interfering, they don't have the right to do that. And they failed this final test. They were given the grace of God, the divine, gave them one final opportunity to do the right thing, and they failed. They got too greedy, and it has brought this fully in for you. For you, like you are getting that permission right now. Not that you need it to defend yourself. Because when you own the shadow aspects of yourself, when you're predominantly of the light side of the yin yang, when you do that, that dark spot within you is deep, and it's wielded towards the good of all. It's not wielded out of jealousy and cruelty and greed. It's wielded to protect others like yourself. It's wielded to protect that you claim is yours, that is of love, that is of light. It is not something that is used the way that they have been using your energy to create. There's like this defensive, like righteous anger almost coming through with this. Just like the divine is hurt, disappointed, sad, but they would not sacrifice you for someone who would do what they would have been doing. Like, it is a new beginning for you in love, an experiencing of love in your life. This is not just love of yourself or, your pets or your family. This is going to be across the board. It's going to be love of everything. It's a whole new world for you. It's a whole new world for you. And yes, there's going to be a romantic aspect to it. If you're already in a relationship, you're turning a new page with one another. You're healing something. You're letting something no longer be a wedge between the two of you. But that's because you have been putting you first. You know that you cannot give to the world of yourself if you don't have yourself to offer. And this person this energy, these people, they couldn't handle it. Yeah, so they're getting the sword. They're getting the sword. They don't have the wisdom. They don't have the wisdom to wield your life force. No one can be you like you. No one can handle all of the power that your inheritance is to create in this world like you, because you were the one that did the work to have that power, that inheritance. You respect what brought it in because you lived it. So wealth. We have two aces here, by the way. Two aces back to back. You're inheriting this. You have that wand. You have the ability to create. They don't get to touch your wand. They don't have any say over what you create. They don't get to piggyback. They don't get to mimic. They don't get to do any of that. It is yours. It is yours. Seven of Cups. So it's not just about options, like the world is your oyster. It is a nobility that you bring to the table to everything that you create. You basically open up timelines for others, options for others, just by existing, just by being in their space. I'm being called to, like, look at the top here. Palmistry of a person with rich feelings and a strong personality, and it's pointing at the reader. There's also like a little more of a traditional aspect to this. You may not feel incredibly confident when it comes to worldly abundance, because this energy, these individuals have possibly kept you in such a state of lack that you were so busy surviving so much of it that was just never something you came to value, and thus you didn't have the opportunity to learn about it because it was never something you needed to learn about. You value the wealth of presence in the physical. You are very aware and rich in your awareness of this, knowledgeable in this. It kept you drained, kept you tired, like they were just constantly feeding off of you. This is not something you're experiencing anymore. It's just not something you're experiencing anymore. This Five of Pentacles in the reverse, you're not in that out in the cold anymore. They now get to do the work from the ground up. They now get to have the opportunity to do the work that you did to gain all the wisdom that you had and prove that they can hack it or not. Because in order to get to this point, you had to work through their karma too. So they couldn't go, yeah, well, they didn't experience what I did. No, she did. She experienced all of it, and she alchemized it, and he alchemized it for you. So you don't get to use that as a woe is me excuse. You don't get to have another Pasco collect $200. You're done. And this last chance that they had to choose the higher path, the higher road, they didn't take it. Instead, the temptation was too great for them to take advantage and take what didn't belong to them. And the divine was watching. And the divine, just like a parent trying to teach a child, was very heartbroken to observe that this was something that this person still hadn't learned, and that the most loving thing to do for these individuals and this person in particular was to finally give them a consequence, so they had to learn. It's kind of, like growing up, the first job that I had, I was 13, and I would bike 15 miles to work every day. I would work a full shift, and then, I'd come home, and it was just during the summers, and at the time, legally, I could work at 13, but I valued what I purchased because I'd worked for it. There were certain things that were provided, but if I wanted nicer things, then I had to work. And okay, let's see here. Yeah, they really, really want us to talk about them. And you know what? This reading is not about them. This reading is about you guys. This reading is about you guys. So if we are to talk about them, because both of the cards that came out speaking to them in the last pull, yeah, When I opened the deck, yeah, right to the second one. It was both the puppeteer and the enchanter. So, Divine, what do you want us to know is the wisdom in having had this puppeteer and enchanter in our world? What is it that you want us to know? Not what they want us to know. Is there some wisdom, some knowledge that we could still have yet to be gained from this that you want us to know about? Okay. So these flipped out. We have the runaway, secrets running from problems. You may have developed some habits in this time, in this life, leading up to this moment that you're going to have a harder time breaking yourself of because your life is going to be so much different. You're used to probably just like enduring and getting from one point to the next point to the next point. The truly thriving is going to be a very different experience. And those habits that you have of enduring what isn't what you want to experience, they just don't fit. They don't fit this life that you've manifested, that you're standing on your right to defend your life, to defend your power, defend your truth. And that's what's happening. You've claimed your space. And you're going to do whatever you need to do to defend that. And you have always been taking the path less traveled and reaching and surrendering to the divine. And the divine has said, your knowledge of pain and suffering is valuable here. Your knowledge of their hurt and their ignorance and their lack of awareness is needed for you to truly defend your space, your property, your home. It's not a, woe is them, I feel bad for them. No, they're harming you. The greatest gift that you can give them is to show them how you can be, I don't want to be too close to the light, how you can transmute. Show them the way. They don't understand. It's like there's two teams, the A, B, and the A team and the B team in, say, like a sport. We'll say basketball, for example. The A team, they're your star players typically. Well, this is the round where you've had the B team, and they've tried and they've tried and they've tried, and they haven't figured it out. They thought they had it, but it wasn't balanced. So now they're being benched, and they get to watch the A team, show them how it's done, show them how to remain balanced with all of this energy. You're going to show them how to create new habits, how you create new ways of being yourself in this new world that you have created, that you have asked for. You've prayed for freedom from this. And the universe, with the astronomer, discovery, augury, the universe has answered, as above, so below. You've done the so below, and now the so above is like, all right, here we are. And your foundation and always reaching within you is there. You have everything you need to be able to let yourself out of this cage. And this is you. You're not just opening the door. You're not hesitating anymore at the threshold. You're blasting that door open and flying out, and you're like, I'm going to figure out what I need to do as I go. And really, there is no other way than that. But know that the way that you handle things, the love that you carry within you, the wisdom, having every moment you've had in your life that has brought you to this time, you're going to be demonstrating for others just through your actions, just by existing. You don't need to preach it. You don't need to push it in anybody's face. You don't need to do any of that. Just being yourself creates a huge impact. People know, they can feel it, and it may not even be consciously. It may be a thing where they encounter you and your higher self and their higher self have a conversation. And the two, like, you may be aware it's just happening, but they may not be awake. They may not be aware. And they may be confused, but you know what's going on. They don't get to weave and thieve and gamble with your energy anymore. Energies that want to come at you like that. Because they will. They'll see your light and they'll think, ooh, piece of candy. And because you have owned this part of yourself with so much love, you respect it. You respect it. There is a show that I encountered because, you know, like my dad, he was military. So I have a bit of a respect for, you know, the military, and there's the stories and their war stories and their senses of humor, just really grounded, salt of the earth kind of people, and they just like a good laugh, right? Every opportunity they get. Well, one of these stories, they were talking about a warrior from Finland who they called the White Death, and he was defending his home. He knew the layout of the terrain around his home. He knew how to work in snow. Those that were invading they didn't know. They were used to where they were used to operating in their own environment. And you guys, you are that. I mean, he was a hell of a warrior in waiting until this opportunity presented itself in his life. And he was a warrior that was able to really, like, change the tide of that interaction, that altercation, if nothing more than just in the fact that the guy was so good at what he was doing. He was so efficient. He was so thorough. He was so methodical. And it was because he loved his home, his family, his friends, his life. He wasn't going to just kind of do it. No, he was giving it all of himself. All of himself. He wasn't just kind of present. And yeah, you may still be learning. And, you know, as your abilities come more into focus and that interference kind of eases up a little bit, you're going to have the guidance come in more and more clearly. Because you are the warrior within you. I mean, yeah, you may be choosing light, but when you choose to pick up that sword, or in this warrior's case, you know, actually use his skill with being a sniper for defense instead of just sport, the tides turn. They thought they had this. Nuh-uh. You showed up and that wheel spun. And this is something that you've been giving to. Every time you fed your light, every time you chose the path less traveled, because you knew that it was the right thing to do and not the easy thing. It was the right thing. It's part of your contract that you have with yourself. This has nothing to do. This part has everything to do with your contract with you. There's a reason why you didn't have it in you to walk away. There's a reason why you didn't have it in you to take the easy route. There's a reason why, even given the opportunity where you could take advantage, no one would be the wiser. You would know. You would know that you knew that you just took advantage of someone. Every time you stood on what was right, even if no one would know or be able to hold you accountable, this was what you were bringing into being. You were keeping that contract with yourself, that promise to yourself. You were staying true to you and had nothing to do with anybody else. And yeah, you're going to still be learning. And that's part of living. That's part of the fun, the excitement. I have my cat loving up my stand here. He's going, I love you. This is mine, and this is mine, and this is mine. Yeah, just finding the joy, the happiness, the love. Let me make sure that we can see everything pretty well okay here. Okay, is there anything else, Divine, you would like me to pull on before the end of the reading here? insights. Okay, well, I haven't used these decks in a while, but there is a reason that Divine had me pull them, so let's see. Now, this deck is one that I feel has more predominantly assertive energy in it. Which typically the dark is associated with feminine, but it feels just very logical, very, yeah, like stoic. It has that very, I don't know, it's hard to put into words. Maybe that means something to you guys. I don't know, but I love the men in my life dearly. And the moments where they would get like that, I would know that underneath that was a giant teddy bear. So I just kind of felt a little more like, I love you so much right now, you grumpy old man. And he'd be like, arr, 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 and kind of grump away, but oh, we had the devil wanting to come out in the upright. Oh, no, I'm not giving them screen time. So we have the Three of Cups and the King of Spears. All right, so there's the co-creation. The masculine energy within this dynamic is standing upright and is co-creating with the divine. They're in union as well within themselves. If you resonated as the masculine, this is just affirming that. If you resonated as the feminine, it is confirmation of that. We have the Nine of Spears. All of this is coming up. All of this. And this to me is actually saying, because this is the Ace of Swords. It's in the inverted. But how do you hold the sword? You don't hold it down when you go to battle. You hold it up. You wield it. You're going, anybody and anything that stands between me and my energy is being removed, and they're getting their hands off of what is mine. Ooh, 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 ooh. Very powerful. Okay, one last one from this deck. If there's anything here. Oh. We have the Lovers, and this one, it could be a little, I don't know. I'm just going to cover it just to be sure, for sure. A little graphic, but it is pointing to that love of self within, that union within. And yeah, I could read it in the negative, but that's not what I'm feeling. That's not what I'm channeling. And if there is any of that there, I'm alchemizing it for you guys, because you don't need it to be reinforced or empowered, because you create it. And I have no problem showing you guys that that is possible. It is about perspective. If you don't like how something feels or looks, change your perspective and see it from a new light. See it from a new perspective. This is about being in union within yourself, loving that masculine and feminine energy within you, loving the unconscious, embracing that shadow within you, not fearing it, respecting it. Okay. And then this one, it feels more feminine. It's more feminine energy, more receptive, a little more nurturing, light. I mean, it can have a more gentle delivery of wisdom. It could have a little more, I don't want to say it that way, because I'm like hearing like the masculine energy pipe in, candy coating it. A little more of that, but sometimes for someone to actually hear you, you need blunt. You need it to be blunt. And sometimes you need it to be a little more gentle. But it's not about the delivery. It's about whether or not the wisdom in the delivery is heard. Okay. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So we have the Five of Wands. And it kind of flip-flopped around a little bit and went like this. So the distractions are not distracting anymore. It was more predominantly inverted. So they're not distracting anymore. You're not receptive to entertaining what wants to be the big, bad, scary boogie monster. You're like, Beth, Smoke and mirrors. You're not real. You're not tangible. You're not legitimate. You're not willing to entertain that they're the boogie monster and they have all of your abundance, because your abundance is within you and they don't get to touch. Okay, so this kind of landed like this because you also, just like with the more predominantly masculine deck, Three of Cups came out twice now, guys. You're creating with the divine within. And you're in that Nine of Wands energy. You have that wand, just like came out earlier in the reading. You have that. It is yours, and hands off, right? It may be a thing where you're just like, okay, this is what you wanted? All right, fine. Now, okay, what? You're like a feeling of just irritated that you were, not irritated. What are the right words here, Spirit, for this? I mean, yes, it's the PTSD, the wounded warrior, but it's just a fed upness with the way the world had been, knowing that you're creating a world that you actually are going to be able to experience life in a whole new way. You're just kind of feeling that, just I'm so fed up. And that's what brought you to that point. And you were guided the entire way. You would go within, you would go within, you would ground that intuition, that knowledge, that wisdom from the divine. Even if you didn't understand. Even if you didn't understand. But that is the foundation within you, the union within you. We have the Four of Wands and the Lovers, and this is where you're going to see the most change presenting itself in your world. And I have one in here too. We have the Four of Swords, and this is a question that your receptive aspect is asking you to kind of take a deeper look at. Because the Four of Swords is about like disappointment. It's about disappointment and healing and taking inventory of things and deciding how you want things to be different. What kind of world do you want to create? You've done this. And you're going to keep doing that. As you go through, you'll find your way, just as I said here, or was channeled there. You're going to figure it out as you go. Alchemizing and changing and learning and evolving and growing as you go, knowing who you are. Whoop. Ah. We have the Ace of Wands. It came out initially in the inverted. This question that you have had up to this point is, you say I'm safe, you say I'm guarded, you say I'm protected, and yet I keep being poked and prodded and messed with and taken from. This is now, do you feel it now? Do you know it now? Because now you have taken your sword and your wand, and you're basically saying, this is mine. You are defending what is yours. So now you're not just hearing it. You're not just asking for it, willing it, emotionally giving to it, believing it into being. You're actually acting it. This was the only thing that was left to be done at this point, was for you guys to pick up that sword and that wand and use it. Use it. And that required you to respect the power of your roots. You kept growing and growing and growing and ascending and ascending and ascending in that tree. And now the last thing was to really own all of your roots. And that sounds very, grounded in physical reality, spiritually wise, the higher view wise. You owned your spiritual warrior side. You were no longer just this passive priest or monk-like energy that kept choosing the best possible outcome, the best possible decision, no matter the burden of choosing that path. You're now taking up that warrior side and you're saying, no, you shall not pass. Oh my gosh, those are, that's from Gandalf. Remember when he's fighting the demon in like the depths of wherever, and the next time you see him, he's on some mountaintop and he defeats it and he becomes Gandalf the White? That's what's happened here, guys. You have said you shall not pass And you have ascended from, you know, Gandalf the Grey into Gandalf the White. The power of your light, they couldn't stand against it. They stood no chance. The moment you made that statement, stood your ground and said, no, you come no further, they were done. And they never wanted you to know that you could do that. And you did. You did. So do you own your power, or are you still questioning yourself? That's what this card is. Because the moment you own your power, anything that anyone tries to place on you as your truth, boy, are they in for a rude awakening. Oh, another one that's upright. You're in the Nine of Pentacles. You have so many opportunities and new beginnings around you. You just have to give to them and speak them into being and have fun with them. There's a reason to some extent, other than just the butterfly being this beautiful creature of transformation, that the butterfly is the symbol of transformation. There's another layer to it, guys. They're playful. They invite that inner child within you, that magical side of you, to wonder at life again. The power to be at play while your enemies are just like, what the hell? That didn't stick to them? Like, they didn't fall into that? What do you mean that was a test of me? And I failed? What? I thought, what, huh? They are so confused right now, guys. They are so confused. And they are the B team. And they're sitting on that bench. And they're going to be taking notes if they even get to be there. There may be a few that are not allowed to be then a part of that team at all anymore. Meaning they don't get to play that sport anymore. Whatever that may